Hello and welcome to our new session of the Global Mobility and COVID-19 series. My name is Friederike Ruch and I'm happy that I can discuss with you in the next few minutes what is new about the current situation, so to give you an update as well as provide you a bit of information based on two cases we prepared for start date of new joiners, which is at least in our practice a huge topic because everybody would like to know when can the new joiners really start to work. Before I start, I would like to point out that please on the right hand side there are two boxes. One box is where you can ask us any question you may have and we will answer it during this session, as well as you can download the presentation, the slides, while the session is ongoing. So, what is the current status? Now, we have been informed on Thursday about the new phases on the lockdown, but that basically is only regarding the stores and shops and anything within Switzerland. At the moment, regarding the borders and regarding people coming anew from abroad to Switzerland, there is no change to that, and there's no decision taken by the federal government. Currently, still, the entering Switzerland is still not allowed in case people are coming from one of the high-risk countries. There are a couple of exceptions, and the exceptions are still basically for people working in the health industry or which are really required by the government for the current situation. The high-risk countries, the list of them has still not been changed. It is still all the countries basically except Liechtenstein. The phases on the lockdown, you may have seen or heard it already. Next week, starting from the 27th of April, there are a couple of shops, whereas there's the hairdressers and any kind of personal services, dentists, doctors, they can open again. They still have to provide a safety concept to the government, and then they definitely can open. Regarding the schools and the other stores, which should take place on the 11th of May, this is not quite sure whether that will be really the 11th of May. According to the federal government, that depends on the number of people which are then infected anew or how the status is, and as well as that the schools as well as the other stores have to provide as well a safety concept. And then hopefully by the 8th of June we can go again to museums, libraries and zoos and so on. Not decided is what will happen or when the borders will open, as well as the same thing about bars, restaurants, and so on. So we're still in this regard in a kind of waiting position. There is, based on that audience too, there is an instruction now from the State Secretary of Migration to it, and this instruction basically means that people who are already in Switzerland, for them, it is if they have a valid work or residence permit, the valid work and residence permit can be extended. This will be reviewed by the authority. There is no problem to this. If somebody came to Switzerland and is now not being able to exit Switzerland and the Schengen visa or the permit has been expired, then what you have to do, or what the individuals have to do, is to notify the migration authority, and then the migration authority will decide case by case what the right method is. There will be no problem for them in principle that they can stay, at least until an exit is possible. However, there might be a difference then between whether they get a formal permit or a visa D for staying in Switzerland, or whatever kind of documentation for them to make the stay valid. For people who are still abroad and a new work permit needs to be applied, in principle, there is still that date of 15th of June. Until then, no new visas will be issued, as well as in principle, no review of new applications will be done by the authority. So there are still authorities, the cantonal authorities, having different opinion on that date, but from the federal authority, so the higher authority, it is the 15th of June, where they say until then nothing will be reviewed for people coming anew to Switzerland, or where a new application has to be filed. For any application you may have filed before the 18th of March and which has not been reviewed by the authority up to now, or has not been fully approved by the authority, they are all basically suspended, and you will have to file them again after, most likely, or as of 15th of June, so that the authority can review it again. You also, if you have filed those applications, then usually the authority has contacted everybody and has discussed each case, then whether there was also the possibility to have it on hold with the authority. So yeah, whatever you have agreed on, in case the authority has not contacted you, most likely it is suspended, or you better maybe check with the labor market authority or the immigration authority about the status. In the instruction from the State Secretary, it is indicated that for EU-EFTA nationals, the recommendation is to only approve applications for employees in the health sector or which are for main public interest. Now, it's not basically forbidden. However, the authority, or all the cantonal authority, have indicated that they will not, currently will not be able to approve applications, and therefore will not do anything. Also not for EU-EFTA nationals. Non-EU-EFTA nationals, there it is basically really until the 15th of June, no application will be reviewed, and therefore you cannot really do anything, only in case the non-EU-EFTA national will work in the health sector, or as well be in a sector which is for main public interest, then you might get a permit. Family reunification, students, pensioner, basically you will not receive an approval, or you cannot even file an application before the 15th of June. And as said, the Schengen and national visa will not be issued until the 15th of June. You might find still the one or the other embassy who will still do it, then you're lucky. But in principle, the federal government has informed all the Swiss embassies and consulates to not issue it. Now, crossing the border and the controls on every border, this is also a major issue for us on a daily basis. There are different treatments for people coming to Switzerland. On the borders, the customs or the officials there deal with it differently. In principle, every person who has a valid work permit or residence permit, or the final approval from the migration authority, which is called Zusicherung zur Aufenthaltsbewilligung, they can enter Switzerland. The entry should be allowed by the authority. Now, we had a couple of cases there as well where the entry was denied. One was because the document was in German and the person came from the UK. At the next day, after we sorted it then out with the custom, the person were allowed to enter Switzerland again. And there was as well two others which are basically the official or the custom at the border did not really know what the document is, and therefore did not allow the persons to enter Switzerland. But that we sorted out as well, and in the end they were allowed to enter Switzerland. Basically, if you have such a document for one of your employees, that Zusicherung zur Aufenthaltsbewilligung, then they can enter at earliest 3 days before the start date on that document. If there is a valid residence permit, no problem at all. The cross-border permit also allows the people to enter Switzerland. Some of the customs will ask for a verification or for a letter from the employer that they definitely need to work in Switzerland. So there it might be good if you could issue a letter so that they can enter Switzerland based on that. We, in one of the earlier sessions, we had a solution for anybody coming from the EU-EFTA countries and who had been EU-EFTA national and wanted to start to work in Switzerland. We said the notification would be a possibility to allow them to enter Switzerland. This is still possible. However, at the moment, that has also stopped. Now, we are currently checking with the authority whether starting from May on, maybe it is allowed again, because on the 27th of April now, some of the lockdown has been lifted. It's still that everybody should do home office wherever it is possible, but there's also the meaning that the economy should also get as best as possible, but not not actually having in the end more infected people than before, but still trying to get the economy also back on track. In case you have the notification already done or one received for your employee, then they can enter Switzerland, and actually even 1 day before the notification start date. This was in general some information, and now I would like to round it up with 2 case scenarios. One case is a German national is residing in Constance, Germany, and is employed by ABC Consulting Ltd in Zurich, Switzerland. The start date should be the 1st of May. At the moment, it's not quite clear based on COVID-19 what the consequences will be, but if we are now looking at start date 1st of May, what can we do? Basically, our recommendation is checking whether it is really critical. He is a critical employee or he is a necessary employee for you and he really is required to start. If yes, if that is the answer, then definitely you would actually have to look at whether he can enter, or the individual can enter Switzerland just based on the employment contract, or what you otherwise could do is checking whether there is a possibility to do the notification, so he definitely can enter Switzerland. The notification is the online notification, which you can do for only for EU/EFTA nationals, but as he is German national, there is no problem at all. In case you say he is not critical and he does not really need to start, check whether he maybe you can onboard him, but he can work from home. From the country where he is currently living. Maybe that is also a solution if he is really required to work. Otherwise, check whether you may want to change the start date from the 1st of May to a date where it is most likely more possible that he can enter Switzerland and start here, if the work can only be performed out of Switzerland. Otherwise, working from out of the country where he is currently residing might be a possibility. Or, if that is everything is not really working, you put him on unpaid leave or paid leave. There you definitely have to make an agreement with the employee. Even in principle, and there is a discussion currently with the different lawyers regarding labor law. If you have, for example, in your employment contract a sentence which you usually should have inserted, like that the employment contract is only becoming valid once the employee has a valid work permit, and will also only remain valid as long as the employee has a valid work permit. If you have that kind of sentence in your contract, in principle, the contract might not even start as of 1st of May 2020 in case the employee cannot enter Switzerland and has therefore no valid work permit. Because basically the German national has to enter Switzerland and get registered, and only after the registration he is allowed to start to work. And only based on the registration in principle he has the valid work permit. Now, the discussion with the lawyers is that some of them say even if the individual is not been able to enter Switzerland and can therefore not register, based on law and based on the agreement of free movement, he has the right to work based on the nationality. And based on that, it does not really matter whether that sentence about having a valid work permit is in the contract, because he has the right. It is kind of equal like having a valid work permit. So in order to protect yourself and to be more or less on the safe side, what you definitely have to do is to check with the employee and to try to find a solution which works in the end for both ways. In case it is not possible to get the work permit as of 1st of May, which currently we still do not know. In case you will have him working in the end in the home office in Germany, where he's currently residing, as he's not able to start in Switzerland as of 1st of May, then review the Social Security coverage, as well as review the tax situation, as the salary which you will pay him most likely will be taxed in Germany. So for EU EFTA nationals, it's we are in a bit of a better situation, as even if as of 1st of May maybe that is not possible, that we will get a valid work permit, we might get it soon, or they will be soon able to enter, at least sooner as for non-EU EFTA nationals. And that is our second case, which is an American national. Same situation, but he is currently residing in the US, and he would like, or he should start as of 1st of May. Now, if you haven't filed the application already, or if you have filed it, but the authority has not fully approved it before the lockdown, you basically are in a situation as not having filed anything. So what you definitely have to do is with the individual to see whether he is required to start to work for you, whether the 1st of May is really the start date you need him working, and then whether there is the possibility that he can work from home out of the US. If that is no possibility at all for you, then what you have to see is, from a timing perspective, that if we still assume that the 15th of June is really the date when the authority will start again to review applications for non-EU EFTA nationals, then a realistic start date might be 1st of October, 1st of November. We come up with those days based on the fact that you usually need to consider about 3 months for getting all the approvals done. And if we consider this, then with a bit of 1 or 2 weeks in addition, then basically it is the 1st of October. Now, I foresee that we might have to look at a certain delay in it, as if everybody now has still so many applications already they want to file, because for some of those people you definitely need an application to be filed. You were not able to do that now in the last couple of months, or last couple of weeks, better to say. So everybody will start on filing as of 15th of June. And the authorities, I assume, will then be just overloaded in work, and therefore there might be a delay. So if you then discuss now with that individual about the realistic start date and about the timeline, then you need to tell him most likely the earliest you can actually move to Switzerland or be able to work in Switzerland it is in autumn. You may also want to check with the business and everyone involved whether a start date this year is still what you definitely need or want, or whether you maybe want to change then the whole employment until next year. Depending on this, I mean, there is, from a legal point of view, what you can do, and basically, you find a solution, agreeable solution for both parties, for whatever other date, or worst case scenario, you will actually get the employment contract commencing as of 1st of May 2020, and then terminated within the provision period, and then just pay for that period the salary. Now, definitely the better solution is to find an agreeable solution, and that both parties in the end can work with. However, in case you can let him work in the US, then you have definitely to check about the Social Security coverage, because there is quite a long period from 1st of May to 1st of October or 1st of November when he is working in the US for you here in Switzerland. And you also will need to check about the taxation situation, because the salary will be definitely being taxed in the US, and the US does no withholding liabilities for the employer, and therefore it is necessary that you also check with a tax lawyer in the US how to do that. For the non-EU EFTA nationals, definitely from a timing perspective, there you definitely need to find certain or a solution with the employee as well, because he might have given up his previous job with the mindset to start as of 1st of May, and will then also be in a difficult situation. Unfortunately, there is no real or definitive timelines we can provide you at this stage. We hope the 15th of June is definitely the date the authority will stick to, but that also depends on all of us, how we will basically manage now through that period where they now uplifted a part of the lockdown, and that we show that definitely they can also open the borders again. This was from our side now the summary or the update on the current situation. I would like now to start answering the questions which we have received. The first question we have received was from someone that there are different people who should start and take up employment quite quickly, and there was the question, what happens with them? Can they start to work even they cannot enter Switzerland, so that they can start to work basically out of Germany, Finland, and wherever they are currently? In principle, yes, they can start. Based on the employment contract you have with the employee, there is a possibility that they can work out of the country where they are currently are. The only thing you might may want to check is whether they are nationals as well of the country they are residing there. Because basically they are only allowed to work in the country they are living as long as they have the same citizenship. If they don't have the citizenship of that country, there might be then even an immigration aspect you have to look at. So yes, they can start to work. In regard to Social Security, we were advised by various now Ausgleichskassen, so the Social Security authorities which are dealing with you in the end, where you are paying all the contributions to, that for the people who are not being able to start to work in Switzerland but currently are abroad, you basically can have them enrolled in the Social Security in Switzerland, and you can pay the necessary contributions and everything, and then only request an A1 for them, so that they have something for their home country, that they can show that they are paying contributions and are covered in Switzerland. Still, we also have from one or two Social Security authorities received the information they will not consider this as the right way, and they will not have those people enrolled in the Swiss system. We are currently checking with the Federal Social Security Administration, but have not received a final answer on it, what their guidance is. My understanding is that these people should be able to be enrolled in Switzerland based on the current situation. However, so that you are on the safe side, please check it with your direct Social Security authority, and tell them exactly where these people are residing currently and who they are. If they are in an EU-EFTA country residing, there should be, and they are EU-EFTA nationals, there should be no problem. In regard to taxation then, in case they work from home, you will basically really have to check case by case whether there is a tax liability in the country they are residing, and if yes, whether you as an employer have basically to withhold those taxes, or there is a possibility that these people can pay their taxes through tax return filing. The next question we have received is whether the validity of the visa grant can be extended. Yes, this is possible, and we were advised by the migration authorities that you will have to write a letter or an email to the authority and request it in writing, and then they will do. We discussed with the migration authorities whether that cannot be done automatically, because some of the people currently still can definitely not enter Switzerland due to COVID-19, and therefore whether there is an automatic extension. This is not the case. Also, if you do request the extension, then request for 3 months. Not that I really foresee that it most likely will be now not possible for those people to enter Switzerland within the next 3 months, but we don't know. So at least you have more or less the longest possible period for the extension. The next question we have received is whether the non-used quotas from this year will be transferred to the next year. Yes, this will be the case, and this has happened now every year. So basically, there most likely will be a huge number of quotas being transferred for next year, and hopefully the economy will pick up, and we will be able again to have people coming over to Switzerland. Then there is a question to the first case we presented, which is about the health insurance. If the German national starts with the local Swiss contract, but is working out of Germany, and the information received was that not all Swiss insurance companies are willing to insure the employees, even they are covered under the Social Security, under the AHV, and enrolled in pension fund and so on. I haven't received any question up to now in this regard, so I'm not quite familiar that Swiss health insurances have not liked to get people on board in their insurances. But basically you have to check. It is also the situation that maybe the employee would like to stay insured in Germany, if there is a possibility at least that he can stay insured in Germany. Maybe check this again. Otherwise, speak to the health insurance, or check on a health insurance which will enroll the employee. As the health insurance can basically be cancelled and terminated and changed every year, it's only for 1 year, more or less, the employee is stuck with a health insurance he might not really want. And as soon as he is then entering Switzerland, he can change it then for next year. The next question we have is that someone thinks that the economy is dramatically going down, and whether it is not quite likely that the authorities will have less work to do, and therefore there might be no delays. I don't know. If I look at our the applications we have and our clients, then I have to say yes, the economy is declining, but all the applications we had filed before and which had not been fully approved, we will have them to file again now, and these are already a lot. And then if you have if your company have business travelers, then those people might even need to come more to Switzerland than before, based on the current situation. I also foresee that there is a certain need in the end of people maybe needed in Switzerland, like reviewing the processes, reviewing the risks, which have now been seen during the current situation, and therefore you might still have lots of people coming to Switzerland. But I don't know. I find arguments basically for both sides. So I think at the moment we just have to really see. In case in case really all of us will just file the applications we have and have to do that anew, then yeah, it's there might be a delay then. I hope not, but we will see. I also could imagine that the authority might review the cases a bit quicker, because what they definitely don't want to have is a huge delay in everything and having too many applications sitting on their desk. Then there is another question to the second case, whether the 120 days permit would be faster and would be a possibility or a solution. Unfortunately, this is not a solution. At least it's not a solution as long as you have him locally employed in Switzerland. In case he is on assignment, like in case he is currently already working for maybe the US entity, then you can request a 120 days permit, and then definitely you will have the 120 days permit approved within 4 to 6 or 8 weeks. But if the employee is not already working for you in the US, then you will, and is only having in the end a local employment contract in Switzerland, then there's no possibility of the 120 days permit. That is only in case he can be on a kind of assignment or working as a business traveler. But coming back to the case 2, it could be a solution as well, and you may want to check it if there is legal entity in the country the employee is currently residing, like in case 2 in the US, then that might be definitely a solution as well, to have him enrolled and employed in the US for the time being, and then as soon as you can have him employed and have a valid work permit for him in Switzerland, then just transfer him to Switzerland. The next question we have received is taxation or taxes for non-EU EFTA employees working from home, whether it would be okay to ask the employee for a confirmation about how income taxes should be paid. In principle, yes, you can do this. You can also do that for an EU EFTA employee. However, in principle, you as an employer have still a certain responsibility and liability, and therefore I would recommend that you actually check it with a lawyer, a tax expert in that country to get really the right information. Because usually as well, people ask questions in a different way and then also get different answer. And as said, you have a kind of responsibility and most likely even a liability in that country. You rather would like to check it yourself. I answered now, I think, all of the questions, and I hope you have received the answer and happy with that. Unfortunately, I'm not able to provide you with guaranteed information and about the timelines. I would love to, but hope that in the next few days and weeks we'll have a bit of more guarantee. Now, the last couple of minutes, I would like to just give you a quick update on what you can expect from us. Still next week is the next session of COVID-19, as well as we have a couple of more webinars One maybe you might be interested in it is on the 28th of May, which is about the business traveler in Switzerland and about the work permit and or business visa matters. And in the second half year, we have at least three English speaking webinars. One is about assignments to Singapore on the 27th of August, and then towards rather the end of the year on the 26th of November about tax equalization and the increase or high costs to it, as well as on the 3rd of December then about assignments to China and Hong Kong. We also still have our hotline ongoing, so in case you have any questions, just call us there and we will be happy to answer it, or just visit us on our YouTube channel. I hope you enjoyed this session, and I'm looking forward to meet you at one of our next sessions or webinars, and hope that you all stay safe. Thank you.